Hi, good evening. Now declare this meeting of the Finance Committee call to order. Online, we have Angelina, Skip, Victoria, Nick, and Heather, and also Mary Gloria. So I'll entertain a motion to resume the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none. So roll call. Angelina?
Aye.
Skip?
Aye.
Victoria?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
And Greg votes aye. Declare the motion carried unanimously. All right, let's get tonight's agenda up. So first we have Article 56, submitted by the Finance Director. Mary, go ahead.
Is that for the fire truck?
Yes.
Okay, so we placed, the fire truck on the annual town meeting back, FY '22. And there's been delay in the, production of the vehicle. And, we received a letter from the manufacturer a few months ago stating that there was going to be a surcharge because of the additional cost, because of the inflation, the shortage in labor, so that it will cost us that additional money that I'm going to have to transfer from free cash to pay for the fire truck. The fire truck is currently scheduled to ship on February 21st of 2024.
Okay, and what was the initial amount of the fire truck?
740,000.
Okay, so additional like 15% or so, something in that. Okay, so this is additional because of increase in costs. Okay.
Correct.
Any questions from the Finance Committee? All right, thank you. 56.
The
Go ahead.
second article I submitted for was another transfer from free cash. Now, this is for the opioid settlement funds. And so Grafton is to receive these funds for the next 20 years. And so this money is earmarked specifically for opioid, for, to help with people with, I'm sorry, I can't even, I'm sorry. It's to go back to the community to help educate people with, opioid dependency and things like that. So what happened is all the money comes to the town of Grafton, and Mass General Law dictates it has to be put in the general fund. But I can't just spend it and appropriate it because it's a settlement. And so what I have to do, I have to take the money that we received last fiscal year, because it closed the general fund, so it closed to the free cash. So I'm gonna transfer that out, and I'm going to transfer it out to an opioid settlement fund for the Department of Health to then oversee and spend. They're trying to get a committee together to then find out what they want to, some of the projects that they're going to do in the community. So far in FY '23, the town of Grafton received $62,138.28. So that, I'm going to transfer that whole amount over to the new opioid settlement fund. So far this year in FY '24, I have received $41,777.17. I will have to do the same thing next year. This will be a yearly warrant article. This is the only way for me to get it out of free cash into the opioid settlement fund for the Board of Health Committee.
Okay, thank you. That was gonna be my question, was if this was gonna be a yearly thing. All right, do we have any questions from the committee?
So are we gonna add the, amount to it?
I believe that William is going to add that in the motion.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't think we can amend the warrant at this point.
No, it's closed.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, any other questions from the committee? All right, thank you. That is Article 57. Up next, we have Article, I guess, 53 from the town administrator, the TIF agreement. Do we have someone here to talk about that?
No,
Okay,
unfortunately, no.
all right. I guess we will skip over that one for now. I assume the same for Article 58 from the town administrator? Or are you able to do that when the free cash to the DE&I audit?
Oh, yes, I can speak to that. So there was an audit done, the diversity and inclusion audit. And so we will transfer money for free cash to pay for that audit.
Okay, so this is paying for something that has already happened. We just need to move the funds around so we can pay the bill?
Correct.
Okay. Any questions from the committee? Okay.
Great.
Yes,
How much was the amount?
32,500. All right, Select Board Article 59, 15 Powerline Drive. Do we have anyone to talk about that one? Mr. Jefferson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, several residents in town had been having issues with their water color, and the water district at their most recent meeting suggested that they needed a filtration plant over on the Trinity Ave well. But they don't currently have space to do that, so they would need to, either purchase or lease land from the town in order to make that happen. The town council divided the request into two separate pieces, because the lot at 15 Powerline Drive is Article 90? Article 90. 97, thank you, sorry. Whew, so many. It has certain designations, so we have to first vote to remove the land from Article 97, which requires a town meeting vote. And then the second article is to allow the select board to negotiate a 30-year lease with the water district.
Okay, so that covers Articles 59 and 60. Any committee members have any questions? All right, seeing none. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
All right, we are now back to the Bylaw Study Committee. Anyone in the audience have any questions about articles which we have previously reviewed before we continue on to the new ones? Seeing none. Okay, Mr. Robbins, Article 30.
So the Bylaw Study Committee, seeing as how we have a quorum of the Bylaw Study Committee present tonight, actually all five are present, one by Zoom. So I will officially call a meeting of the Bylaw Study Committee to order here. And because one committee member is remote, I will call the roll of the bylaw study committee members, beginning with Greg Marr,
Here.
Brian Langevin, Andy Jefferson. Here. And Skip Courier,
Present.
and Dave Robbins is present, so. All members of the bylaw study committee are present and accounted for. We left off, the last one we touched on last night was Article 29, so we will begin with Article 30 here. And I'll continue what we did last night, and we'll continue this night, is briefly summarize the revisions that the bylaw study committee has proposed to these articles. And we'll deal with each article one at a time, take any questions as they come up. I will not repeat my introductory remarks from last night explaining who the committee is and what we've done. And so we'll just begin with bylaw article number 30, which is also warrant article number 30, conveniently. And I won't list every single change that we've made, but we'll hit the highlights of what we did. This is the alarm bylaw. We updated the definition of alarm system to avoid some potential confusion, clarified the scope as pertaining specifically to fire and intrusion-related alarms. We removed a transitional provision, which is no longer necessary because the bylaw is now in full effect. Modified collection authority to align with another section. We updated language providing for enforcement, along with some other updates we've made throughout the bylaws regarding enforcement. Removed a severability clause, as we explained last night. We have a single severability clause in Article 1 of the bylaws, which covers all articles. The individual articles, many of them had severability clauses, all of which were worded differently. Town council recommended that we align them either with the same clause, same wording in every one of the 41 articles, or cover it all with one. So we had one in Article 30 that we removed. Not a lot of really major changes here, mostly housekeeping and cleanup.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from the committee? Okay, seeing none,
Or from the audience?
we'll move on to section 31.
Alrighty, so Article 31 is the open burning bylaw. Also, not much that needed changing here. Basically, we just revised consideration of the penalties here in line with the other enforcement updates we did.
Okay, do we have questions on Article 31 from the committee? From the audience? Seeing none, thank you. Move to Article 32.
Article 32 is the town administrator bylaw, which just adds a little bit to what the charter says. The charter has a lot about the town administrator. The bylaw, we had a redundant paragraph in section 3, which we deleted because it simply repeated what the charter said. I think that was the only change that we made there.
Okay, do we have any questions from the committee? Audience? No. All right. Article 33.
Article 33 is the shade tree bylaw, which was enacted about 20 years ago. And at the time of its enactment, it had a rather ambitious reach. Largely, substantially, it goes into more detail about the responsibilities of the tree warden with respect to shade trees that are owned by the town of Grafton. We did a few tweaks to this just to clean up some language and remove some ambiguities. One of the more significant changes here was the shade tree bylaw had this notion of a community forest, which, as it was defined in that bylaw, meant every tree and shrub on everybody's property in the town of Grafton, which sort of exceeds the scope of the town's authority. And nothing was ever really done to follow up on that notion of a community forest and what the idea was behind the shade tree bylaw. I guess I should mention that one of the important reasons for creating the Shade Tree bylaw was to qualify the town as a Tree City USA. And the community forest notion was sort of part of that, but it's not really essential to the question of getting a Tree City USA designation, so we felt comfortable removing that. The other major part of the Shade Tree bylaw was to create a public shade tree management advisory board, which actually existed for about the first 10 years of the life of this bylaw, from 2001 up to 2011. It was disbanded for reasons I don't remember, maybe because it never really met and did anything. It was supposed to be an advisory role to the tree warden. So we've revised the bylaw to make this public shade tree management advisory board optional. You know, rather than doing the major surgery of completely removing it, we kind of made it optional because maybe someday a future select board or a future tree warden would like to reestablish the advisory boards. Other than that, most of it was housekeeping, updating of penalties, removing severability clauses.
Okay. Are there any questions from the committee on Article 33? Questions in the room? All right, seeing none.
Yeah.
Article 34.
I would just note for the record, Evan has joined the meeting, so he might be able to address some of the warrant articles we had to skip over.
Yeah, there's only one left we have to go back to.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so Article 34, this is the Community Preservation Committee. This article did not require much work either. A few housekeeping changes, transitional provisions eliminated, clarified the requirement for staggered terms, which it's required by the charter, but in a lot of places in the bylaws, we made it a little more explicit in the bylaw itself.
I think we added that one because it was a mix of at-large and ex officio
Yeah,
members. So we
the
wanted it to
CPC
apply only
yeah.
to the at-large.
Yeah, so to clarify that the at-large members are appointed on the rotating basis, staggered basis. Everyone else is appointed by the respective bodies that they represent. Again, a severability clause was removed, some page heading text that got somehow stuck into the middle of the text of the bylaw. It's one of a number of editing glitches that we see in the current official copy of the bylaws that we're correcting. That was about it for CPC.
Okay, do we have any questions from the committee? In the room? Okay. Yeah, Article 35.
Article 35 is the Affordable Housing Trust bylaw. Again, a number of housekeeping items. We clarified terms of appointment for the trustees. The state law requires Affordable Housing Trust, the trustees, to be appointed for terms of no more than 2 years. And the way we've been managing these appointments has been sort of reappoint them all 1 year, or maybe some of them. So we clarified the bylaw again to align with the charter's requirement for staggered terms. So now the Affordable Housing Trust bylaw will say you've got 6 members. You've got 1 member who is appointed by the select board. Every year the select board designates their member of the HT. For the other 6, 3 appointed each year for 2-year terms. So, just clarifying the terms. There was some language that we deleted because they were just duplicative of the open meeting law and the charter. We added 2 sections to the AHT bylaw on amendments and the duration of the trust to align with the trust's existing declaration of trust. So there was a couple, the declaration of trust was created first back in 2007. The bylaw was added in 2009 because someone realized you really needed to have a bylaw as well as a declaration of trust. When the bylaw was added, they didn't include all of the relevant provisions from the declaration of trust. So we're just, again, aligning this with what already exists elsewhere.
Okay, do we have any questions from the committee? From the room? All right, thank you. Article 36.
Article 36 is the Stormwater Management Bylaw. This is not much needed to be changed there. The Conservation Commission has been, you know, overseeing this, and the Conservation has been updating this and the wetlands bylaw regularly as needed. So they do a pretty good job of keeping the bylaw in shape. We just had a few tweaks to align the notice and hearing language, to clarify what public notice means for a public hearing and adopting regulations, and again, the severability clause.
Okay, thank you. Questions on Article 36? All right, seeing none. Article 37.
Article 37 is the illicit discharge bylaw, a fairly recent addition to the bylaws. Not a lot needed to be done here. There was some language in here that was copied from the model bylaw and never adapted to Grafton. You know, there was a reference to other appropriate departments, except there were no other appropriate departments. We asked, no one else wanted. It's for notification it's for immediate notification of oil spills. We removed one item that we didn't get from the model bylaw. Somebody thought was a good idea, but DPW says that they don't see a need for it, so we're deleting that. We dealt with, a couple of years ago, this was amended to deal with coal tar-based pavement sealants. We tweaked this a little bit to be a little bit more clear on the prohibition of the use of coal tar-based pavement sealants.
Okay.
Basically it for this.
Any questions on Article 37? So the coal tar based was, we also made it illegal to apply. Is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes, the revision that we did a couple of years ago basically classified coal tar sealants as something you could not discharge into the MS4, the Municipal Separate Storm Sewer. So it was based on the coal tar sealants actually reaching the MS4. It wasn't an explicit prohibition on applying coal tar sealants. So that we've added that here to, because you could have interpreted the bylaw as it is now. You could interpret it, well, I can use it as long as it doesn't run off into the, storm drains.
Right. Any questions on Article 37? Seeing none. Article 38.
Article 38 is the Agricultural Commission. The only change here was to deal with staggered membership and reappointment procedures. Other than that, I mean, the article is only 2 paragraphs long to begin with.
Okay, questions on Article 38? Seeing none. Article 39.
Article 39 is the good old limitation on the number of recreational marijuana retail establishments, which we've had some interesting discussions about that over the years. We updated it a year or two ago to make it much more straightforward about that our limit is 3 or a larger number if it's based on the number of pouring license. No, I don't remember. It's based upon the number of package store licenses we have available. So there was the original language had some odd calculations based on fractions, which some of us will remember the head scratching discussions about that. We cleared that up, but what we do now is, I really didn't need to go into all that detail, did I? So we eliminated some out-of-date details in the first section, which is the statement of the purpose. We updated that to reflect the current situation, eliminating out-of-date details, clarifying the current purpose. The original purpose really was no longer appropriate. Section 2, the one that actually spells out the limit, it just needed an up-to-date definition of the term marijuana retailer.
Okay. Questions on Article 39? Seeing none. Almost there. Article 40.
Article 40 is revolving funds, mostly a housekeeping update here. There was, again, some text that came in from a model bylaw regarding school bus drivers, which the town doesn't hire school bus drivers, so it kind of doesn't need to be there. The table of revolving funds is revised and updated. The table somehow got some information in there that didn't really belong in the bylaw. The annual appropriations, which are done as a town meeting vote, but they're not intended to be part of the bylaw. So we sort of redid the table to reflect just what actually needs to be in the bylaw, the listing of funds and funding sources and so on.
Okay.
Again, that's really largely housekeeping.
Do we have questions on Article 40? All right. Final bylaw article, Article 41.
Article 41, the Capital Improvement Planning Committee. This was basically updated to reflect how things work now with the adoption of ClearGov as a capital planning tool. There was a fair amount of language updated in here to reflect that, but
And those
really-
changes primarily came from the committee itself.
yep, the CIPC said this is what we'd like our bylaw to look like.
Okay. Any questions on Article 41? Seeing none. Dave, thank you very much.
And as the bylaw study committee's role in this hearing is now complete, I'll take a motion to adjourn the bylaw study committee.
So moved.
Moving and seconded. Roll call vote. Greg?
Aye.
Brian? Andy? Skip?
Aye.
And Dave votes aye. Bylaw Study Committee is adjourned for tonight. Of course, everybody's welcome to stay on for the Finance Committee meeting, which at least three of our members have to stay on.
All right.
Thank
So
you.
we will return to the article that we skipped, the Article 53 by the Town Administrator and the TIF Committee.
Okay, sorry for the delay here.
Okay.
I was at my girls' open house, so,
Lot of that going around tonight.
yep, they wanted to show me everything even though I was in that school for 10 years. So, all right, so Article 53 is revisiting the tax incremental financing agreement with Feedback Earth. You'll recall this is the same process and procedure that we had in the spring. This spring, we decided to pass over as Feedback Earth was having some difficulties with their site. Been working with them solid for this past year. And so now we'd like to bring this tip back and put it before the town for a town meeting. It is fairly minor in scope. It only deals with about a $2.5 million renovation, or expansion rather. And it also deals with the addition of positions at Feedback Earth, so that we've tied the revenue to their job creation. So they get a little bit of discount on their taxes and they create jobs and value. It is only a 5-year TIF. It's 100% year one, then 75, 50, 50, it's 25 and then 0.
And that is of the increase due to their expansion, correct?
Yep, it only deals with the addition. It doesn't deal with any of the other value that already exists.
Okay. All right, are there any questions from the committee? Anyone in the room? All right. Thank you very much. That is our last warrant article.
Leah
Who
has
has
a hand
I see a hand showing up now.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
sorry,
Yep,
I'm
there we go.
Trying to get back to the screen. Can you just, I am blanking on this entirely. Can you just give like a high level of what this is? Great. Yeah.
Yes, okay, sure. So, 109 Creeper Hill Road is a company called Feedback Earth. Feedback Earth takes food wastes, mainly carbohydrate-based things like from bakeries and things like that.
Mhm.
They financial assistance with a build-out. Part of that deal with what's called MOBD is that we, the town, execute a TIF as a part of, it's basically sharing the burden of helping this company grow from the state's perspective. This went before the select board and the TIF committee. They both voted to endorse the agreement. This is only, if you're ever up at the site and you're looking at the front of the building, to the left of it, they're going to be adding another section of building. This is not going to add any more burners or making the feed. It's just warehousing and things like that. It's about a $2.5 million expansion, but it will create, I actually don't have that section in front of me right now, but I believe it's around 15 jobs. And again, the tax offset is only the first 5 years, and it's only on the project's value. So it's really, it's a pretty small lift for us.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. I believe that covers all of our articles. Before we close the public hearing, is there anyone else that has any questions or comments? There's nobody on Zoom, so just people in the room or the committee. Do we have any final questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
All right. Any discussion? Seeing none, move to a vote. Angelina,
Aye.
Skip,
Aye.
Victoria,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Heather,
Aye.
Kyle,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
and Greg votes aye. Declare the motion to close the public hearing carried unanimously. All right, the next item of business on our agenda is the recommendations for the town meeting warrant articles. And that also involves voting for the articles. We had previously said that we were going to do one single recommendation for Articles 1 through 5. Is the committee amenable to taking a single vote to support Articles 1 through 45? There are no objections. I entertain a motion to recommend support for Articles 1 through 45 as written.
So moved. Second.
Seconded.
All right. I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Angelina?
Aye.
Skip?
Aye.
Victoria?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
And Greg votes aye. Carried. Motion carried unanimously. 1 through 45. All right. Next, Article 53. Entertain a motion to recommend passage of Article 53 as written.
So moved.
All right. I have a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none. Angelina?
Aye.
Skip?
Aye.
Victoria?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
And Greg votes aye. Declare the motion carried. Article 56. Entertain a motion to recommend passage of Article 56 as written.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded.
All right. I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, move to a vote. Angelina?
Aye.
Skip?
Aye.
Victoria?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
And Greg votes aye. Declare the motion carried unanimously. Article 57. I entertain a motion to recommend passage of Article 57 as written.
So moved.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Angelina?
Aye.
Skip?
Aye.
Victoria?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
And Greg votes aye. Declare the motion carried unanimously. All right. Article 58, entertain a motion to recommend passage of Article 58 as written.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, move to a vote. Angelina?
Aye.
Skip?
Aye.
Victoria?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
And Greg votes aye. Declare the motion carried unanimously. Article 59, entertain a motion to support passage of Article 59 as written.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none. Angelina?
Aye.
Skip?
Aye.
Victoria?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
And Greg votes aye. Declare the motion carried unanimously. I entertain a motion to recommend passage of Article 60 as written.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Do I have any discussion? Seeing none, move to a vote. Angelina?
Aye.
Skip?
Aye.
Victoria?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Heather?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
And Greg votes aye. Declare the motion carried unanimously. That leaves us with Article 48, which we had some discussion about yesterday. That's the one that the planning department still has some work to do. Has there been any updates on that?
On Article 48, the planning board obviously is going to be discussing this along with all the others on Monday. But there were some questions around the formatting of Article 48. I've been communicating with Fiona today. We're quite sure that regardless of anything else that happens, we'll be bringing a different version of this to the town meeting floor as part of the motion, as we are still waiting for the state to approve the language that's been proposed. So that's a little bit up in there. There are some other issues with the way it was formatted for the warrant. By and large, we're going to clear it. We're going to work to clear that up so that that there's no ambiguity. Again, we can't change the warrant. Obviously, it's cast in stone. But we will be either passing this over at town meeting if the state hasn't come back with the approval in time, or we will be presenting a revised version of the modifications as part of the motion.
Okay.
But yeah, we are working on some of the issues that we discussed last night, and some other issues that I'd found in reviewing that warrant article as well. But yeah, I've been working with Fiona on that today, and we're going to work with William on getting things together for the town meeting motions.
Okay. Seems to me that'd be prudent for the Finance Committee to take no action on this article at this time. Does everyone agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. I think we will leave, I think just for the purposes of getting everything lined up so that it can be printed, I would entertain a motion to say that the Finance Committee has no recommendation for this article at this time pending further review and revisions by the Planning Department.
So moved.
Second.
All right. A motion and a second. Do I have discussion?
So in the past, we have, I think, chosen not to make, recommendations of not making recommendation. I personally don't really feel strongly about it, but it seems like people in the past have not wanted to do that. So I just figured I'd mention that as if we're gonna do it, it's kind of a little bit of a break.
Breaking precedent, yeah.
What I was thinking was that our duty by charter is that we are to make a recommendation on every article. So we can't really make a recommendation at this point. So I guess that's as close as we can come, but if people feel that we should just leave this one alone for now and deal with it later, we can certainly do that as well. Anyone else have any thoughts?
Greg, I think the appropriate thing for us to do is vote that we not support passage as it is written, because it will not be passed in this fashion regardless of what happens. And that the blurb explain why. One, that it's either gonna be reformatted and rewritten a little bit, or two, that we not hear back from the state in time to pass it anyways.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing, Skip.
Okay, that sounds reasonable. Someone, let me withdraw the motion. Who seconded?
I was seconded.
You want to withdraw the motion? All right, and the original motion? You withdraw?
I withdraw.
Okay. Someone else like to make a replacement motion?
You're on, Skip.
I would move that we not support the passage of the article as written for the two purposes that I've already stated. One, that it will be either rewritten and reformatted, and we're not sure exactly what it's gonna look like, or two, that we not even hear back from the state as to their approval for this article. However you wanna write that.
Okay,
Second.
all right. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none. Angelina?
Aye.
Skip?
Aye.
Victoria?
Aye.
Nick? Heather?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
And Greg votes aye. Okay. All right, that takes care of voting on our recommendations. Now we can review the draft recommendations that we have so far. We told Amber that we would review the written ones that have been provided, and we can do just descriptions in the meeting tonight and approve those so that she can start the write-up on those. So the first is Articles 1 through 45. I wrote that one. The Finance Committee recommends passage of Articles 1 through 45 as written. These articles were prepared by the Bylaw Study Committee after a thorough 15-month review of the town bylaws, town charter, and relevant Massachusetts general laws. The committee collected input from stakeholders, including relevant town boards and committees, town departments, and members of the public. All changes were reviewed by the town council. Anyone have any comments on the recommendation?
Very nicely done.
Thank you. All right, Article 46, Angelina.
So I enlisted a little help from Fiona earlier today. So for Article 46, the Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 46 as written to add a MBTA community overlay district to comply with Massachusetts state zoning requirements in Section 3A of MGL C40A. So I had written the first part and she added the Section 3A at the end.
Okay. Anyone have any comments on that recommendation?
Sounds great.
Okay. Article 47, also Angelina.
So Article 47, she again wrote from Section 3A on. The Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 47 as amended to add Section 14, MBTA communities, multifamily overlay district to the zoning bylaw, as such changes have minimal effect on current zoning and comply with Section 3A of MGL C40A. Amendments include modifying Section 14.6.1 applicably to state this requirement applies to all residential and mixed-use developments with 8 or more dwelling units, whether new construction, substantial rehabilitation, expansion, reconstruction, or residential conversion, applicable projects. No project may be divided or phased to avoid the requirements of this section.
Okay.
Wow.
Do we need all that?
So I wasn't sure, like, I was okay the second half of it. I think she wanted to draw attention, obviously to that it was changing the requirement, or that it was making a requirement that applies to all residential and mixed-use development. I understand wanting to, pull that out and kind of bold it, but I don't know if it's gonna confuse people. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think you should just change it to all good.
All good.
Just I mean, I don't have a leg to stand on here, but I think that, I mean, that's a lot of information in here.
Yeah.
I agree.
That you could get right down to, approve as written, you know what I mean? I don't know, I'm not saying that simplistic, but
Yeah.
it's definitely,
So if we take out from amendments on,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it just
Right.
is the first part, basically saying that it has minimal effect on the current zoning and it complies with this section of code.
Yeah,
that
that's
would
what I
be
would,
my recommendation, yeah.
Okay.
agree.
Yeah.
Ditto.
And the as amended was because there was a small amendment relative to the warrant article, is that correct?
Right.
Okay. All right, any other comments on Article 47?
I think we just need a space between Article and 47. and
Yeah.
that, Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the space, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yep. All right, and I think we had enough from our discussion on Article 48 for Amber to write that from that discussion. Anyone else want to say anything about Article 48? Okay, Article 49, Skip.
Well, I don't need to read it over again.
No.
Generally what we talked about last night is, COVID-19 continues to allow special treatment by the state, and we're just saying, yeah, we like this idea, so we're gonna put it into our regular bylaws.
Okay, does anyone have any comments on 49?
Do we have a
Do we have to, just a general thing, I know like when, if it needs like a certain amount voted, do we usually add that into our, or didn't we usually add that into our comments?
I
our
believe
recommendations?
that
Just needs
that gets added to the motions
motion, okay,
when they're written, and that is done by town council, I believe.
okay.
do we have a POV whether we want to do supports or recommends?
I
Consistent.
would like us to be consistent.
Okay.
If everyone is okay with me asking Amber to be consistent with the finance committee recommends passage of article whatever, then we can ask her to do that when they're written up. Any objections? Okay.
For 49, should we add something about it or change the wording slightly to just reflect that it's gonna allow them to, do this, instance by instance or case by case? Because I think that was kind of a big part of it, was that by putting it in this way, that then they were gonna be able to give these permits out, on a case by case basis. And I know there was a lot of concern around, like in every union when they have it in the parking lot and like the pylons and keeping people safe and that kind of stuff. And she had mentioned last night that it was gonna allow them to look at those kinds of things individually.
To answer the question, it was just simply the phrase to permit this use, and instead of droning on about, set up rules and regulations for it.
I suppose we could, it'd say, we will allow us to continue to permit bylaw change will allow us to continue issuing special permits for this use. Does that cover your concern? And that it still mentions special permits?
Yeah, if that means that to people.
Okay, any further comments? Okay. Article 50.
I kept it super simple, just wrote the finance committee supports passage of this article. This article updates the language of the current Grafton zoning bylaws pertaining to cannabis retailers and dispensaries to be consistent with and adherent to Massachusetts state law and Cannabis Control Commission regulations. The update was just simply verbiage driven.
Okay. Any comments on Article 50? Seeing none. Article 51, that was mine. Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 51 as written. This change will allow property owners to put sheds of no more than 200 square feet within the side and/or rear setbacks of their properties without having to go through a costly zoning board of appeals process. They can simply file a shed permit. This will also reduce the number of appeals that the ZBA will need to process. Does anyone have any comments on that? Okay, 52. So just clarifying why that definition needed to be added. I think we might want to say that this definition is used, the term tractor trailer is used in the bylaws but is not defined. So this resolves any potential ambiguity.
I like that.
Okay, that was something that Fiona mentioned last night. So. All right, Article 53 is one we have not written yet. So that is the feedback earth / TIF. Does anyone want to take a shot at that one?
If we can dig up a past TIF agreement blurb, it's gonna be exceedingly similar to that, if not the same.
Okay, so do we want to ask Amber to look at the recommendation for this same article from the previous town meeting and just update that as needed?
Yeah.
Okay. Article 54, CPC. The one note I had on this was, we had talked about last night listing the Board of Library Trustees, the full amount that they had approved for this at $109,114, as opposed to the $74,114.
Was that the state or
The library trustees.
Yeah, Greg, I was trying to read through that document, if you wanna stick that in there, that's fine. I just didn't see where that was coming from, but that's okay.
Okay, so we'll just, Amber, if we can change the amount from the 74,114 to the 109,114 that the library trustees approved for that project. Okay, Article 55.
Sorry. Very
Oh, go ahead.
54.
Yep.
Capital should be TAL. TOL is the building. This would be. Yeah.
Ah, okay, in capital campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it would change a capital campaign to the library capital campaign and fix the typo in capital.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
Actually, while we're on that,
Yep.
I think the wording, just to be a little more accurate, should be funding sources are is it 20,000 from the library capital campaign?
Yes.
Because that's a nonprofit.
Yes.
The trustees have their state aid. I thought it was coming from the state aid.
So that's the 74,114, that is, we're changing to
Okay.
109,114. So maybe take out sponsored by the library trustees to fund preliminary plans and contingencies. So just say funding sources are $20,000 from the library capital campaign,
Yeah.
70,000 from a reimbursement grant from the Mass Historic Commission, and 109,114 from the Board of Library Trustees. Yeah.
Just as long as we distinguish between what's coming from the state and what's coming from the town.
So that is, it is funds that were originally provided by the state to the town, and so it's not coming directly from the state, it's just standard library aid that we have already received.
Makes sense.
Okay, yeah, I think we can
Yeah.
just clean that up a little bit, and otherwise we're good. Okay, any other comments on 54? 55.
This is just the transferring, $25,000 from each of those accounts to the cemetery road. So, transferring needed funds to the cemetery roads capital account from the Fairview Cemetery Perpetual Care account, Riverside Cemetery Perpetual Care account, and the Pine Grove Cemetery Perpetual Care account for the purpose of funding cemetery roadway repairs.
Okay, do we have any comments on Article 55? Okay, let's finish up the ones we've already written. So Article 61.
Same, article transfers needed funds to the sewer overlay repair account from the sewer retained earnings account in order to maintain the necessary equipment needed to perform daily operations of the sewer plant.
Okay, the only thought I had on that is, do we want to mention that this is money that is coming from sewer usage fees? I think that would be appropriate. People understand where that money came from originally.
Couldn't hurt.
Okay, we
We
can,
never had asked, but we could.
Okay.
I actually wrote these two articles last year too.
okay, I'm fine, if we don't think we need them, I'm
Matter,
fine with
if
that.
you, I tend to think less is more, but but yeah, you can put more in. I don't know, a lot of people know how the sewer works,
Mm-hmm.
how the funding works. So yeah, you can if you want.
Evan or Mary, do you have any thoughts on that? Would it be useful to mention that comes from sewer usage fees, or?
No, usually we put that in our explanation.
Okay,
But your recommendations are, say this we're getting more descriptive over time. So we may have to rethink how we're doing our recommendations. But I honestly, I don't think you need to include it there.
okay. I'm fine with leaving them that way then. Anyone else have any comments? Okay, so that's 61, 62, 63 and 64?
62 is the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah, just transfer funds to O&M emergency account from the sewer's retained earnings.
Okay, 63 and 64. Go ahead.
Just my comment, 63 would be for Waterville Circle and 64 for Drunkard's Terrace.
Yep. Okay, so we'll just need to adjust those two to list which one it is.
Cross that out, yeah.
Crossed out, yeah.
It looks like there's a typo where it says impermanent easements to needed to design,
Okay, that probably should be as needed.
yeah.
All right, so permanent easements as needed on both articles.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on 63 and 64? All right, and we need to go back to find the other articles. Very long document, lots of scrolling. Okay, Article 56 is support of the additional cost for the fire engine.
I can take this one.
Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, can you give something now, or do we want to?
Oh,
so we can
yeah,
approve
I
them
mean,
all?
sorry, I was.
That's okay.
Go. Yeah, the Finance Committee recommends the article as written. The additional dollars are to, yes, of course, cover the increased cost of the fire truck due to delay in purchase.
Cover costs under the terms and conditions of the contract to purchase.
Much more eloquently said.
Okay. Sounds good. Any other comments on 56? Article 57, I'd say this is the first of several yearly articles to transfer the money that the town is receiving from a settlement into a fund where it can be used.
For its intended purposes.
Okay, I like that. All right. 58, this is a transfer of money to pay a bill for a DE&I audit which has been completed.
Who authorized this audit from an unfunded source?
That I have no idea. Was
Did
there,
we not know this audit was gonna happen?
I think there was some confusion between, who was gonna pay it. The town thought the school thought the town was, and nobody budgeted, and hence here we are.
okay. Anything else on 58?
Is there, an outcome that we can associate with the blurb to make this palatable and easy? What was our overarching takeaway from the audit?
I don't think you need to say that.
Yeah, we got a DE&I audit report, but I think you're recommending or not recommending the article, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think you need to say what it's about.
Fair enough.
Okay.
You can say that it was required. That's helpful. Just like people, so we're not just say it's a required DE&I audit.
But it is not
Oh,
required.
was it? Well, why didn't we have it done?
No, because the select board and the school committee voted to have us do a DE&I audit. So
The
then,
school committee doesn't wanna pay for it?
it's their audit and our audit, they're both sides of the choice. School's obviously bigger than we are, but, in meeting with Jay, we thought that this was the best way forward.
Okay, so if those 10 people voted for it, they can split the bill.
You still have to vote at a town meeting for them to have any money.
Yeah. All right.
We already voted to agreement.
It's the whole town's free cash. It's the school's free cash as well as everybody else's, so. Why am I getting an echo?
Because your mic is on.
You unmuted.
Ah, why'd I do that? Sorry.
All right, I think we have enough for that one to be written. The last ones we have to do are 59 and 60. Do we want to do a combined, or do we want to do separate for these? Because they're essentially two parts of the same issue.
I guess 59 is moving it from 97, so it can be sold or leased in 60.
Okay, so the Finance Committee recommends passage of Article 59 as written in order to allow the Select Board to negotiate for a long-term lease with the Grafton Water District to construct a water treatment facility.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's great.
And then similar one for Article 60 to authorize Select Board to negotiate with a lease for purposes of constructing a water treatment facility to improve the water for Grafton, something to that effect.
I think they could be essentially identical, right, they're the same outcome.
Yeah,
And
Article 60, I just leave it off with, thank you very much 59 and now approve of 60 for the same reason.
Yeah.
Okay, does anyone have any other comments on FinCom recommendations? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the FinCom recommendations as discussed.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded.
All right, any discussion? Seeing none. Angelina,
Aye.
Skip,
Aye.
Victoria,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Heather,
Aye.
Kyle,
Aye.
Dan.
Aye.
And Greg votes aye. Declare motion carried unanimously. Do we have any other business that may properly come before the meeting this evening? Seeing none, as we have completed all the agenda items, I now declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.